Hey everybody, I'm DJ Sixsmith. You're watching The Sit Down. This is going to be a fun one. Katie Finneran is here with us. Nice to meet you.
DJ Sixsmith.
Katie Finneran.
I'm just going to say that the whole time, because that's like the sexiest name ever. I'm so happy you're getting married, because otherwise I would totally hit it on you. DJ Sixsmith. We were talking about this before,
yes.
And your parents just named you that, and that was the deal.
Yeah.
I think that's so fantastic for you.
Thank you. They didn't want me to be another Danny, so just been rolling with it.
But then there's that 3 minutes every day of your life that you have to have this conversation.
Have to, yeah.
Do you have it down? Do you have like a joke that
I
you
kind of have it. Well, the other thing that I didn't tell you off camera was that Sixsmith, like I haven't done the whole history about it yet.
Yeah.
So all I know about it is that it was Shoesmith at one point and Sucksmith, which I'm happy.
What?
It was like S-I-O-U-X.
Oh, like Sue Smith,
right.
Oh, wait, that's Sue Smith, right?
But it's how it's spelled, but like Sucksmith was how it was pronounced.
No!
Yeah. So thankfully
Markel, did I just blow your ears out? I'm so sorry. Did I give you a sound? Markel is the sound man.
Yes, Markel is our man in the back. Yeah,
sound man.
There you go.
Sorry, Markel. No!
Yeah, that would have been bad.
What?
Really bad. But then again, I have to do more research on it. Because I get this question all the time.
So where do you think your people are from? England?
I think it's Old England, yeah.
Old English.
Old English, yes.
Excuse me, DJ.
Yes, exactly.
Mr. Socksmith.
Well, because the other thing is that like your name used to represent what you did, right? So that's where the whole Shoesmith thing came from.
Right.
And so the joke that I would have was that 6 Shoesmiths came to America and became the Sixsmiths.
Yeah.
I got to do some work on it, see?
A little work on that.
Yeah.
We'll work on that. It's not as clean as you need it to be.
No.
Sixsmith. I'm sure everybody thinks it's S-I-C.
Right.
Sixsmith, like you made it
right,
up.
Sixsmith, yeah.
You would be that kind of guy that would make up that name for your
Are you a DJ?
persona.
Did you make up this name?
Oh.
What's the deal? Like,
Leave me alone. I'm a nice guy.
I'm just trying to have, just trying to have some conversations.
Right.
Just trying to live life.
I really want to do it. I mean, I know my parents look alike, and they're from the same town in Chicago, and they've been together since they were 14. I'm Irish. It's Finneran. I know I'm from Ireland.
Right.
Everybody's Irish, so it probably won't be that dynamic.
Sure.
My
family
history, but I still want to do it just to find that
absolutely.
story about my old great grandmother who killed a bunch of intruders and made some potato fields and sold a fancy potato pie or something.
That would be interesting. There was a guy who was here yesterday who he's done it all the way back, and he was like,
how far back?
Well, to the point where he said my ancestors planted the first botanical garden with Benjamin Franklin. And
I would say,
what?
Oh, did they?
Like really?
That sounds made up to me. Yeah, but I believe it. I mean, I guess there's ways of telling.
But again, it's like, you're like the 1% this and the 1/16th this. That's where it goes too far.
Well, that's like little affairs. Like I went to,
how did this happen?
I went to Egypt and I had an affair with you, so I'm a little bit 1/16th Egyptian. I know there's a German who snuck in there somewhere. I'm
Probably
a little bit, tiny bit German.
So Irish and a tiny bit German.
Yeah. I don't know.
Hey.
I think I might do it.
Whatever it takes, right?
But then what if there's some weird government thing that they're going to do with all of our genetic
it's already happened. It's already, they have everything.
Yeah, I guess they do.
Well, it's interesting because you mentioned the whole sneaking in and doing different stuff in the marriage. That kind of segues pretty nicely.
What was that? Did I mention?
Well, you mentioned the fact that the 1/16th part there, maybe somebody was sneaking around, right?
Oh, totally, yeah. Someone's sneaking around and exactly.
So you have this whole new show now where
Why Women Kill. Nice segue.
That's what we do.
Nice segue.
I didn't expect you to go there, but I'm not gonna avoid that one.
That's why we're here.
Exactly.
There's this great show that I'm doing called Why Women Kill.
Yes.
And it's so much fun. Speaking of Chinese, Lucy Liu is Chinese, and she's only the second Chinese actress ever to get a star on the Hollywood
Which
Walk
is
of
crazy
Fame,
when you
which
think
is
about it.
amazing.
Yeah.
She's so amazing. I love her so much. We've become great friends.
That's
and
awesome.
This is not good for camera. Then I'm like, anyway. But we have so much fun together. She's a girl's girl, and she's #1 on the call sheet, and she sets a tone for the entire cast. And I just love her so much. She directed an episode.
Oh, that's
two
cool.
episodes. 2 episodes? 1 episode. I can't remember.
1 or 2.
Episode,
All right.
yeah. But she's
One.
1 episode, and she is an incredible director.
Really?
My favorite on the show. I mean, she was amazing. I can't believe how great she is with the camera. She's like, I'm editing in my head. And we would be in a scene together and be like, and you better not ever do that again. And cut.
Wow.
And she'll direct herself and direct me.
How do you
and-
keep a straight face when that's going on?
Oh, I don't. But I make her laugh way more than she makes me laugh. I'll do like a different take, and she'll be like, "Stop it! You're making me laugh."
Well, you probably do the same type of stuff that you were doing in the green room before.
What was I doing in the green
You're
room?
just being you,
Yeah,
having a good
I know.
time.
I'm so sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
But what has been the most interesting thing about playing this part for you?
You know, the clothes. I grew up.
I mean,
in-
look at this here.
I know, it's fantastic, isn't it? I was making so much fun of the clothes because I wore them as like junior high school. We all wore this stuff. I wore this stuff in junior high school. And we were laughing about the clothes. And Janie Bryant, who did Mad Men, she's a masterful costume designer. She would put me into these fittings, and I'd look in the mirror and go like, am I wrong, or is this incredibly flattering on me? Because everything has big shoulder pads,
Yeah.
which makes your waist look teeny tiny. You look like a 40s. It's based on like a 40s
Right.
style.
Yeah.
So my waist looks really, really tiny, and then my like hips kind of go out, and then you've got like the high heel. It's like incredible. So I loved wearing it. Secretly kind of want that.
You should just bring some
to
stuff home
come
with you.
Back. I know.
Why not?
I know. A lot of it was vintage. And she looks incredible in those clothes too, but I loved wearing it. And the makeup, so much makeup.
How long
in
did
fact,
makeup
my
take?
stand-in, who is the person who stands in when they're lighting my
Yeah.
scenes, I have to go get my hair done or whatever, and the stand-in who has my coloring and my same sort of height stands in while they're lighting the set. I walked in one day to go to work and I had no makeup on and my hair done. She's like, oh my God, you look so much younger without that makeup on.
Like, thanks, I guess.
But it's very transformative, that makeup. The same women who do Glow
Oh, okay, yeah.
are doing our makeup.
Well,
and it's,
that show's makeup
Maureen
is
Burke does my makeup. She
fantastic.
does all the Glow girls.
Yeah.
And yeah, Valerie Jackson does my hair, and it's impeccably done. It's just fun.
There's a lot of good stuff going on TV right now, and this certainly falls in the category.
Well, you know, it's so unusual. There's nothing that has the tone of this show.
Right.
It's so indulgent and so beautiful to look at. And then you have the 3 different time periods. In fact, we hardly ever see each other because we don't
Right.
overlap.
Yeah.
So when we see each other in the makeup trail, we're like, oh my God, it's so good to see you.
It must feel like you guys are doing different shows in a
It
sense,
is.
you know?
It really is. We rarely see each other. And but you kind of see how women have progressed in terms of their voice and what they're able to do with their jobs and their lives through the 3 periods. It's 1960s, 1980s, and present day.
Right.
And they all live in the same house, and they all wind up in some way or another being involved in a murder. And I may or may not be involved in a murder.
I like the teaser there.
Yeah.
So what have you been doing in terms of unpacking like marriages, women in the workplace, women in society? What are some of the thoughts you've had as you've been on this?
Just that, you know, I remember like something that like women couldn't get a credit card. They couldn't.
Yeah. It had
I
to
mean, they
be
couldn't
under
get
their
a credit
husband's
card.
name.
Yeah. Needed permission to like travel, I think. Like it's incredible in the 60s. You didn't leave your husband because you would have nothing. You would be left with nothing, have no rights. You would have nothing. So you kind of go like, well, why didn't they leave? Why didn't they make stronger choices, these women? They're like these housewives. We kind of are condescending to them a little bit, like, why didn't they step up? Because legally, they had
What were we supposed
nowhere to
do?
go.
Yeah.
And their children would be taken away from them. For the most part, the children would be taken away. And if somebody says, you're crazy, they could go into, you know, if somebody said you're crazy enough and got his friends to say you're crazy, they could be put into a mental hospital.
Yeah.
It's pretty scary.
It's
And
really
that-
messed up.
Yeah, so we've come a long way, even though we think we haven't. We really have come a long way for women's rights.
That's a great example of coming a long way because like people weren't getting divorced. There was a real huge taboo with that.
Because if you did, where would you go?
Right, because
where would you go?
A lot of people were just going to high school. Like women weren't going to college and pursuing their careers. There weren't other options, so you
Why
had to
would
stick
you?
in it.
There
Yeah.
was no job for you.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you?
And then the next generation, you see divorce rates really spike up as a
Yeah.
result of
what?
seeing their mothers and fathers
Done.
that couldn't do it.
Done. But even then, you couldn't get a credit card in the 70s. You know, it's
That's
like
insane.
you gotta use
know?
cash. That's what it's,
You just go with cash all the time.
no bra, cash.
No bra cash. That's just the story of life.
Yep, that's the 70s.
I like it. The show really hits a lot of
It
different
does.
things.
It really, really does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Infidelity, a lot of infidelity. Yeah.
I feel like you've been on shows that have kind of hit a bunch of different things. Like I watched Brockmire and playing that role.
So much fun. Can I tell you something?
Yes.
Someone else was supposed to do the role, and
Really?
their brother got sick, and they called me very quickly, and Hank wrote me a personal letter and said, please come and do this, we got to shoot. So I had to decide very quickly. So like on a Thursday, I got the call. On a Monday, there was a woman sitting on the floor in front of me, lubing me up so that I could put on a latex catsuit.
That's got to be a first, right?
And I was like, there's no business like show business.
Well, you have the theater background, so I'm sure you put on some crazy
like,
costumes.
I'm like, so what do you do? She's like, I'm the consultant. I'm like, the consultant for, she's like, for the dominatrix.
Oh, man.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm kind of hoping my boys don't see that until they're much older.
Yeah, they should probably wait on that one.
But the other day, my husband and I were putting each other on tape for a TV show, and I had to curse just
Like a sailor?
Like a sailor. And they were actually right there on the couch.
Oh, good.
I'm like, be quiet until mommy's done. You mother! And I was like, okay, we're done. Let's go play a game. But so they get it. They're very.
They understand.
Yeah.
It's a part of the deal. It's a part of the business, right?
Exactly.
And Lucy's just an off-the-wall type of character.
She's off the wall type of character, but you know what? I just love her so much. It's to meet another woman in this business that is like has your temperament and your sense of generosity and love, and nothing's more important than honoring each other and respecting each other and having a good time, because you're there with each other for 18 hours,
Totally.
20 hours. She's the loveliest person in the world. Like I said, she's #1 on the call sheet, and she sets the tone for everyone on the set. She knows every single person's name on the crew. She directed. She's just phenomenal.
Yeah, totally.
She's phenomenal.
So
yeah.
you've worked with a lot of great people. How about Hank Azaria? and your time
he's
with him?
amazing. He's so funny.
What has been the big learning lesson with him?
He's really dedicated. He really helped this project get off the ground because it was a character that he developed.
It was all him. Yeah,
all him. And Joel Smith Cooper, who wrote all the scripts, is an amazing writer. He just pairs himself with really important, creative, single-minded people. And I think the show's wonderful. And I didn't really like baseball before I started the show, and I like it now.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I also, learned a little bit about dominatrix group sex.
Yeah.
That's always nice.
That's a whole new world for you, I'm sure.
Probably not for me. Too complicated.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what's your name? Excuse me.
Right,
What's
a little
your
bit.
name?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
you can't even keep
And
that
you
in
are,
check.
I wouldn't be able to keep that straight. Are you comfortable? No.
Are you good over there? Do you need some water? Oh, wait, I'm talking to you over here? No, you actually.
Not for me.
No.
But I did learn about it, and I do respect that lifestyle.
Yeah, and you played the part.
Yeah.
You got it done.
Very well.
Yes, you nailed it.
Yeah.
So I also saw you in Looming Tower also.
Oh yeah,
you
that
popped
was
up
really
there.
fun.
What was most
fun.
interesting about being in that world?
I popped in a little bit, and I was a part of Jeff Daniels' life that was sort of not part of the
beneath the
I was
surface.
the relief, I guess,
Yes,
from
the escape.
And our scenes were very light and fun. And the first time I met him, we both do a lot of theater, and we just had never met, so we have a lot of mutual friends. So there's a comfort there. I know he's not a psycho killer, but the first day we shot, we're both like naked in bed together. We had sex, and I was
It's quite an introduction.
nice to meet you. It's got like the sheet. Like,
Oh,
hey
man.
Jeff, nice to meet you.
It's an honor to work with you,
So
Jeff.
awkward.
Yeah.
And I had my head on his chest, and we're like kissing, and like it's so much fun, show business.
That has
It
to
really
be like
is
the
fun.
most awkward thing in the world, because then like people are on set watching it.
So awkward. But you know what? It's so awkward that it's stupid.
Right.
There's like 60 hairy men and a couple of women and the crew. There should be more women on the crew.
Yeah.
Watching you. Like, so should my tongue go here or should it go there? It's so stupid that it's actually not embarrassing because you're all trying to tell the same story. And
Yeah, you're all in it together, I guess.
Jeff and I, we had a lot of sex scenes. We just laughed. We laughed. We just couldn't stop giggling.
I feel like you kind of have to.
You have to.
That's the only way
Can
you're
you
getting
imagine
through.
someone with no sense of humor doing sex
No,
scene?
that would suck.
Scene, taxi.
Yes, I'm out. Yeah, let's get the heck out of here. So then you also did Bloodline, which I was totally all in on, which was a great one.
That show.
Yeah, and you know, like season 1, super intense. Season 2,
gosh.
plenty going on still. And your character was interesting in that because it's like your husband is dealing with this whole world. They don't really know what's going on. The whole family dynamic there. So how did that show hit? Like, why do you think it cut through in terms of becoming like a mainstream show that people are talking about?
You're like extremely prepared. I don't even know how to say this. Like, you're not even glossing. You're like, I really honor that, and I don't know how much time you spent on on me, but I really appreciate it.
No, I mean, you're
It's
coming
very
in.
sweet.
Listen, like you've done all these projects. I've seen a bunch of these projects too. So
without having to. I love doing that show. Glenn Kessler and Daniel Zellman and Todd Kessler wrote it, and it was just so impeccably written and interwoven, and just the theme of having your family be the most important thing, and then there's a black sheep. There's one guy that you just don't trust and you don't like, and why they don't trust and like him. And I'm not giving anything away, but they wind up killing him. And when I first read the script, I was like, all right, how are you ever going to forgive these people or understand why they I just didn't believe it. I was like, there's no way that I'm ever going to think that it's okay or root for these people who killed their brother.
Yeah.
But they wrote it so beautifully, so impeccably, that you do go, oh, I get why they killed him. Like, I mean, I wouldn't want to, I wouldn't do that myself.
But I can understand how it happened,
and
why it happened.
It satisfies that thing in you, that the fantasy of going, if that person was just not there, that would be helpful. You know, everybody thinks that at some point.
Right.
If that conflict in my life just wasn't there, what would happen? It satisfies that kind of fantasy, and how bad that could be, and why certain people are in your life to give you challenges. And
how dark and twisted things can get, even with family members who you're supposed to love unconditionally.
Sissy Spacek.
Yeah.
Oh my
that
God,
cast was amazing.
It was an unbelievable cast. Yeah, it really was. It really was. Sam Shepard, who you know, I've always been in love with, so I got to hang out with him on the beach.
And especially like for your theater background too, with all the stuff he had done, that must have been real cool.
Oh, it was. The fun thing about Sam Shepard was that he's like, we talk about a play that he wrote like a million years ago. I was like, no, that was the wrong. I would correct him on his own work. No, that was 1972. That would no.
And you're like, oh
True
yeah,
West was
thanks,
before
Katie.
this
Right.
You'd be like, yeah, I don't remember.
They all kind of add up.
But Sissy Spacek was great, and it was really fun. But doing a show like this is, I've always loved doing comedy, and I love doing period pieces, and just being around Lucy Liu and Jack Davenport, who plays her husband. I had most of my scenes with them.
Okay.
And Leo Howard, who plays my son. Is so adorable. We were on set one day shooting. He's this beautiful man-child. And I looked at him, and he was talking about television, and I went, oh my God, you're from Kickin' It. You're the little boy from Kickin' It. Let me tell you something. There's a show called Kickin' It on,
I haven't seen this.
Anyway, you will
on Nickelodeon or?
Nickelodeon.
Disney X.
Sorry,
that
Disney,
too?
sorry.
Disney X.
Disney, and my publicist is like, Disney X! Oh, my CBS maybe, I don't know. But Kickin' It, and it's about like these karate chopping kids who belong to this dojo, and they all like do karate chops, and it's a great show. And I watch it all the time because my boys are 7 and 8.
And that's their thing.
All the time, like they pretend like they're, and so I was completely starstruck for Leo from Kickin' It.
Wow.
And when I got him, my children, they stay in New York, and I go back and forth and back and forth. And they understand what I do because they've been on a lot of sets, but they don't really like
fully get. Well, have they watched your stuff? Like
they have. They watched Why Women Kill too.
I gotcha. Just starting them early.
But when I got Leo came on FaceTime with me, and they were like,
oh, that must have been like coolest mom in the building.
So I am. It's like I'm with, well,
really impressing your kids is the big deal.
Oh, it is. Yeah. They're like, okay, Mom, we think you're cool now. Yeah, it's really great. It's really great.
Who are other people besides our friend from Kickin' It that have starstruck you a little bit or blown you away with their performances when you work with them?
You know who's really super cool is Tom Hanks. And I've since then become social with him and his wife. I'm not that much. I went to dinner with him and seen her in her shows.
Mean, that's social.
That's social,
yeah,
right? Yeah,
I think so.
But I've borrowed his reading glasses. But,
wait, what?
Yeah, whatever.
How does that happen?
I couldn't read the menu, so I was reading glasses.
Look at that.
But I remember the first film that I ever did, big film that I ever did, was with Nora Ephron and You Got Mail.
Yeah.
And I had gotten to know her a little bit from the theater, and I had auditioned for a really big part, and she wound up giving me this part of this nanny. And I really had not that much film experience. I had done a horror film called Night of the Living Dead, the remake of the original. And that's it. So I wasn't really great with like marks or like lighting, and I'm still not great with it. But I had to walk down this really long pier, long pier, on like 72nd Street and looking over New Jersey. And then I had to stop on my mark and look up and talk to Tom Hanks. Well, I would walk at the pier, and then I would get to my mark and go, and looked, and Nora was like, "We can see you looking at your mark!" And I'd be like, I'm so sorry. And I would go back down, I would reset, and I would go back down the pier, walk all the way down, and she's like, "We can see you!" And of course, Tom Hanks is waiting. He's in the middle of doing another project, and he could have like blown up or got upset. He's like, hey, everybody stop. Let's get this girl a sandbag. I'm gonna teach you how to use a sandbag.
Wow.
And he like sort of did this thing in front of the crew where he said, somebody had to teach me how to use a sandbag. I'm gonna teach you how to use a sandbag. And he's like, do you know Spencer Tracy used to smoke in every scene, and the reason he smoked was because he could put his cigarette down and he could look at his mark.
Wow.
So the mark is something you sit on so that you have the right lighting and the right focus with the camera. Very important thing. And so he just made this big show of not embarrassing me and not getting me fired and showing me how to use a sandbag, and I'll always be grateful to him for that.
That's really cool. Really, and that's your first experience.
Well, it was like my second film or something.
Right, but he first was major film.
Yeah, and I was really holding things up. I mean, it took me forever to get back to the starting place, and I did it like 3 times, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, what a moron!" But he had my back.
That's cool. And you guys are still friends all these years later?
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
I mean, we're not, we're lovely.
It's social,
yes,
right. But even still, for
He's
something
lovely.
that was a little part like that to be social, I think it's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, we have a lot of friends in common.
That's awesome. So we've talked a bunch about theater. I want to get into that with you because a lot of people come in and the transition from theater to film and TV happens a lot. But what specifically for you helped you out when you made that transition?
You know, I think it's really just the set on being on set is it's like being in a jungle. Yeah. It's like coming from the Sahara, okay, where you're like, okay, I can see everything, I know what to do, I know where the sand is, I know where the wind's blowing, I know everything. Then you come onto a film set, and it's like a jungle. You're like, that tree, that snake, that person, that tiger's gonna kill me. That it is another world. So to be able to go from theater, where I get to rehearse for 6 weeks. There's one flat surface that I know 2,000 people are going to be sitting in, and that's never going to change. This wall is always going to be to my left, this is going to be to my right, and then back there is going to be the back wall, and I know I can leave either way. And then when you get to a film set, we'll be shooting a scene like this, where there's 60 crew members back here doing your coverage in the back of my head, and that'll take 5 hours. And then the entire crew will change and go to the back where you are, and the camera will be on me. And now the couch and the curtains and the person that was sitting next to you are now gone, 60 hairy men and a couple of women. And it's disconcerting, it's so crazy different that it just has taken me like 28 years to just kind of get cool and calm and comfortable with it. And I always want an entire scene to work. I'm like, oh, that scene didn't work. And I always forget that they can edit it.
Yeah,
like,
and they're taking a bunch of different...
You can edit this, so all the boring parts you can go blah. And, but I'll never get used to it. I know how to tell a story to 2,000 people and make them laugh or make them cry, or I know how to fit the story in from the beginning to the end. Like, let me tell her, I had a sex scene with Jeff Daniels the first day. That wasn't, you know, it's just like...
You're just jumping right in.
It's all out of order, the murder scene at the end of the film is your first day of shooting, and you're just...
There's no rhyme or reason to it.
It is so crazy.
Yeah.
And Lucy has done so much film. She just does it where she sees the cutting and she knows where they're going to go, and so I'm getting better and I'm learning a lot about that. But in terms of telling the story, it's never going to be that comfortable
I get
for
it.
me.
Yeah, I feel you. So for people who haven't checked this out yet, what's the big reason for them to check it out?
Well, it's just delicious. It's unlike anything else on television, and I know there's a lot of things on television, but it is so beautifully shot. I mean, so beautifully shot. And it is lush, and the characters are big, and it's every single thing that these women are doing is something that you wanted to do in your life, so they sort of satisfy an urge that you've always had. Everybody's had an urge of killing someone. Or not killing them, or just making them disappear. Kind of like Bloodline.
It all ties together.
It all ties together, yeah, full circle. But it's a really fun, it's just satisfying. And it's not so dark that, because sometimes I watch shows that are so dark. I go to bed and I'm like, I just want to kill myself. Let's just all kill each other and just end it all now. It's so dark. that this is you'll feel lighter after you watch it. You'll feel just like you had like a big party and you had the best ice cream and
I like that.
You cried a little bit and a baby was born and you just like it's a good feeling show, even though we try to kill people.
Well, Katie, it's been a lot of fun.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And congratulations on your wedding.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Check it out, Why Women Kill, CBS All Access. That's Katie. I'm DJ. See you next time here on The Sit Down.